This is it, New York City. Goodbye. Hey everyone, this is it. This is officially our last week living in New York City. As you may already know, my husband and I are new homeowners. We just recently bought our first house in the suburbs of the city. And I started an entire homeowner series on both TikTok and Instagram, sharing updates about the house and how we plan on renovating. But I realized that YouTube is really just my spot. YouTube is where I belong. It's where my original followers were from. So I do feel like I owe it to YouTube to make some of these videos in an extended form and put them on this platform. If you've been keeping up with my channel, you may have already seen my YouTube video where I shared the general layout of the house. You might want to start with that if you really want to understand the whole house. But if you're just here and you want to stay here, I get it. Let me first just walk you through some of our favorite things about the house and why we bought the house in the first place. The house was built in the 80s and it just has good bones. When we had our inspection done, the inspector told us that in his whole career of being a house inspector, he had only ever come across 11 houses that had no signs of mice or any other rodents. And he was pleased to tell us that our house is the 12th house that he's seen to not have any signs of mice. I know living in the suburbs, we can probably expect that this could be an issue at some point in the future, so we will be prepared if we need to deal with that down the line. But for now, that was probably the best thing that an inspector could have told Michael, because if you know anything about Michael, it's that he hates mice more than anything in the entire world. Some things we immediately loved about the house were the contemporary style. There's this high ceiling in the living room that lets a ton of light in. There's a peaked ceiling in the primary bedroom. Michael is 6'5", so tall living spaces are ideal for him. There are cutouts in both the staircase and the hallway upstairs that let you look down onto the main floor. And we just love this openness. It really reminds me of the childhood house that I grew up in. We loved the backyard, which has a flat top property and then a bottom property, and it's separated by a fenced staircase. We also love the fact that the house is just facing the perfect direction to get all day sunlight. When we first visited the house, it was winter time, and because the sun is a little bit lower in the sky in the winter, it was creating these dramatic long lines of sun that were coming in the back of the house. And you could tell if you went to the house in the morning versus the evening, the sun is still coming in the same windows. It just sort of shifts throughout the course of the day. In the summer, when the sun is just a little bit higher in the sky, those lines aren't quite as long and dramatic, but it still gets all day sun on the whole back of the house. Next, we loved the full finished basement with windows. I grew up being terrified of basements, and so if there's a basement that has natural light and this one has 3 big windows, it's a win for me. The basement also has an extra bedroom and a full extra bathroom with its own shower, so it's a really great place if you're gonna have people sleeping over. And then upstairs, aside from the primary bedroom and bathroom, there are 3 other bedrooms and 1 additional bathroom. So now on to the renovations. Turns out we're doing a bit more than we initially thought, but we're really, really excited about everything, and we know that this is just gonna make the house exactly our style. One thing I want to call out here first is, as you're watching this video, you may see that we are making some changes that aren't fitting with your personal style, and that's okay. That's the beauty of designing your own house. Everyone has their own taste, everyone has their own style that they gravitate towards, and so I knew ahead of posting this video on social media that I was going to get a ton of comments of people saying, oh, you should have kept this, or you should have changed that. And listen, it's cool. If you have suggestions of what you would do in your dream house, please take note for yourself. So in this video, I'm just sharing what we chose to do, but if it's not in line with all of the decisions you would make, take it or leave it. First, the red oak flooring throughout the whole house was really good quality and it was in very good condition. The thing is, the color of that floor is just not our style. I prefer lighter floors that are a bit brighter. I like a matte look instead of a glossy finish. So we plan on stripping the wood, sanding down the floors, keeping that original red oak floor, but just completely changing the color and look of it. We will be resealing them at the end, so it's not gonna be raw, but I know that it's just gonna change the whole palette of the house. The floor is probably gonna be one of the last projects that is worked on in the house, but for now, they did do a sample patch and they showed us what it's gonna look like. So you can see here, this is the old floor and this is the new floor. I love the way it looks, and this is how it's gonna look all throughout the house. So the whole main floor is getting redone like this. And then upstairs, those 3 additional bedrooms used to have wall-to-wall carpeting in them, and I think that carpeting has been in since the previous owners bought the house back in, I think, the 80s. So we tore that carpet out and we laid down brand new red oak stripped flooring that's actually gonna match the look of what we're doing to the rest of the floors. So that way, the new bedrooms and then the hallways and the rest of the house will all seamlessly flow together. So now let's start downstairs in the family room. The old owners of this house built up a wall here right next to the fireplace so that they could create an extra room out of the space behind it. Our first plan was to immediately remove that wall, make the fireplace back to how it was, being centered in this big room. And this room is actually going to be used as a combination between my office and a family fireplace room. I have a whole plan for how I'm going to use this room as my office. And step one is that we're actually going to be building a wall of closets along the back wall. My vision for these closets is basically 3 sets of double doors that open outwards like this. I'll pop up an image here of the drawing that my mill worker made showing what these closets are going to look like. But basically the double doors on the left side and the right side will open to reveal shelving and storage, and that's where I can keep my camera equipment like my tripods and my camera and my lights. And then the doors in the middle are going to open out and then retract in, and they're actually going to reveal a hidden desk inside. I do also plan on putting a floating desk kind of sitting in front of these closets, and if I have a swivel desk chair, I can sort of swivel between the floating desk and the desk in the closet. But I did want to have a hidden desk in this room inside of the closet, just because if I get a desktop computer and I have a lot of junk out, I want to be able to close it and conceal it when guests come over and we use this room for the fireplace. Renovating this wall and taking the wall down cost about $2,500 total, which includes the supplies that were needed, plus all of the labor for demoing the wall, installing a new support structure, and then refinishing the wall on both sides to make it look like there was never a wall there at all. Now in this room, there was previously a door that led out into the patio, and then as you walk a little bit more towards the kitchen, there was a window. Since this room is going to be my office, I think we're going to get some sort of a sliding barn door where I can slide the door over and close off the office to give myself some privacy if other people are hanging out in the kitchen. And because of that, we actually wanted to change what was currently the window and make it a door so that people could get outside onto the patio without coming through my office. So our plan was to swap the window and the door. We literally took the old window and we put it where there was a door, and then we were gonna take the old door and put it where the window was, but we decided to buy a more modern new door instead. I got a lot of feedback online from people who were happy that we were turning the existing window into a door, but as for the old door, they thought I should keep it as a door instead of turning it into a window. And I understand the thought behind that. I mean, it would be nice in theory if from my office I could also walk out onto the patio, but because of the way we're designing the room and we plan to put a curved sofa right in front of that area, that door wouldn't really be accessible anyway. Plus the style is just a little old-fashioned for us with the mullions, so we just sealed it off and turned it into a window. Next, we're painting the entire house a fresh white color. We're going with the color Chantilly Lace from Benjamin Moore. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The company describes that color as a classic white that resembles fresh cotton and pure silk. There are a few spaces in the house that won't be painted that same color, so for our primary bedroom, we're going with something a little bit warmer and creamier. And for Michael's office, he's going with a darker color, I think almost like a navy blue. Another change that we made in the house was removing all of the old doors and the brass hardware and replacing them with more modern, wider panel doors. There's just one panel on the top and one panel on the bottom, with matte black hardware. This was honestly a minor change. We decided to do it kind of last minute, but it has made a huge difference visually. Replacing all the doors, which includes the cost of removing all the existing doors, buying all the materials, including 11 new doors, getting all the hinges and the hardware, and then the labor cost of installing these new doors came to about $6,500 total. Speaking of small changes in the house that actually made a huge difference, we decided to rewire the entire house's electrical system and redo all of the recessed lighting. The lights were a little outdated, they look kind of old, as were the switches and all of the sockets and outlets. So redoing the recessed lighting is just kind of a subtle way to make people walk into the house and feel like it's new without really knowing why it looks so new. Next, the primary bathroom is a full-on demo zone. This was one area that I knew ahead of posting on social media that I was maybe gonna get a ton of comments of people saying, that existing bathroom is beautiful, why are you demolishing it? And listen, this is just a perfect example of different strokes for different folks. I agree that bathroom was probably very expensive, looks like it had great quality materials. If I walked into a hotel and the bathroom looked like that, I would say this is objectively a very nice nice bathroom. But is it the style that I would choose if I was designing a primary bathroom for myself? No. So once I get to some future videos where I talk about the design choices we made, I will let you know what this bathroom is gonna look like. But for now, I'll tell you that we decided to not only change all of the cosmetic features of the bathroom, but also the structure and the layout. So here's the floor plan of what the bathroom looked like before. We just felt like it wasn't the best use of space. It was a little tight. The vanity felt a little short. So we instead decided to just rejigger things a little bit. We actually moved the door in terms of where you enter the bathroom. And then we bumped back into the space behind the shower that was initially part of a little walkway into the closet. It was a little bit of a dead space that we didn't feel like we needed. So we bumped it back and made a lot more room for the shower in the bathroom. And then because we reorganized things and we put the vanities on a longer wall, we were able to actually create a closed toilet room. I think it's called a water closet. I've never had one of these before. It's always been a dream of mine. I know it provides great privacy, so I'm very excited to have a private pocket door toilet room. The next major renovation area in the house is the kitchen. The kitchen is just a vital space for me because I spend so much time in my kitchen. I mean, I'm standing in this kitchen in my rental. I love to do my work in the kitchen. I eat a lot. I cook a lot. I love to have friends over and just sit in the kitchen. And in our house, the kitchen is really a central space right between the dining room and the fireplace room. It's like in the middle of the house, and it's just very vital that this kitchen is fitting with our style. I know this is going to be another space where a lot of people probably think the existing kitchen is beautiful, and I'm not going to argue with you. I think it is a beautiful kitchen. It's got these granite countertops. It has this matte black hood. The stove is beautiful. It looks great. However, it's just not our taste. Visually, as I mentioned, the floors are going to brighten the space up. The white walls are going to brighten it up, and my eye just gravitates towards brighter colors. I would never get a dark countertop in a house of mine, so we're definitely going with a white quartz countertop. And as for the cabinetry, the color of it was just a little bit off for me. I feel like we want to go with either white or some stripped natural wood. Regarding the stove hood, when we first walked into this house, to be honest, that matte black hood was the first thing about the house that I loved. I thought it was so modern, it was so cool. I just love how my eye was drawn right to it. And then something weird happened, but the more time I spent in the space, the more I kept looking at it, feeling like it felt almost like an eyesore. I don't know, for the rest of the house, we're just going with a warm, more minimal, natural feel, and something about that black, dark, bulky hood was just taking all of my attention. So I think our plan is going to be to try to disguise the hood and actually make it disappear along the backsplash. I just don't really want it to be the focal point, but once again, stay tuned for the design choices we make. Our next major renovation is probably my favorite thing that we did in the entire house. So you see this wall right here. This is where the old owners had their dining table. It's where we plan to put our dining table. And up against the back wall, they had this big brown piece of furniture that was holding dishes and other things. The moment they moved out and I could see the space empty, I looked at that wall and I just thought, how cool would it be if this entire wall was a window? Full glass wall. But because of regulations and approvals that we would need from the town to like knock a whole wall down, we decided instead to do a picture window, and we chose to do a window size that was as big as we could possibly go without needing to go through the town. So here was my drawing of how I wanted it to look on the wall, and here's the window. Of course, it still needs some patching up on the sides, and we do plan on putting a thin little black frame around the window to make it really look like a picture and a painting. But I just absolutely love how this window looks. It brings so much light in through the side there. I also love that right behind the window there are just trees, so it's just full-blown greenery. As you're standing all the way down on the other side of the house in my office, when you look down there, you just see greens, and it looks like you're standing inside of a beautiful tree house. So I don't know what I thought it was going to cost to cut out a window, but if you think about it, it's actually a huge project. You're knocking out the wall. You have to structurally make sure the house can support itself. You need to actually buy the new window itself. It needs to be installed. The outside of the house might get messed up from that, so you maybe need to like re-shingle the side of the house or just fix any errors you made. So I don't know, I was prepared to pay like $20,000 to make this window happen. Yet somehow the cost of this whole project, including all the labor, the new window itself, installing it, fixing everything, came to under $5,000. So I was pleasantly surprised, but once again, I don't really know what prices to expect with home renovations because this is my first one. The next major renovation is our mudroom. So in the old floor plan, you walked in off the garage and you were kind of in this like glassed in room that had a couple hooks and shelves. And then you were just in this space that led you to the laundry machine, a bathroom, and there were just a lot of doors everywhere. I wanted the mudroom to be an actual room, a place that you came in from the garage and you could sit on a bench, you could hang your coat up on hooks, you had a full closed coat closet, and then, I don't know, I just wanted it to make more sense. So this section is completely under construction now, but we sealed up a wall, we closed up the existing bathroom door and we moved the door to the bathroom around the corner. And our plan here is to put a bench, we're gonna put a few hooks, there's a closed coat closet right around the corner, we're gonna build a little skinny closet out of wood, and then we're gonna panel the whole wall that's adjacent to this with some of the same wood just so that it kind of looks like a wood paneled wall, but it will secretly also house the washer dryer in there. So as I mentioned, this change in the mudroom caused the door to the powder room to move around to the other side. And I actually think it's better, it's more accessible. Now when I'm working in my office, there will be a bathroom for me right there, and it's right off the kitchen too. I think every house calls for at least one space that's a little unexpected. So my vision for this room is to make it dark, dramatic, kind of like concrete, dark stone colors as opposed to the lighter, brighter feel of the rest of the house. Now onto the basement bathroom. The bathroom down there was a little bit strange. First of all, if you open the shower, there was this floral tiling in there. Some might say it was cute. I thought it was not. And then the rest of the bathroom, like the toilet and the sink and the mirror, everything was just super low. Now I do know the basement has kind of lower ceilings than the rest of the house, but it was just way too low. So we're redoing this bathroom, we're modernizing it, we're trying to keep this whole space to just a couple $1,000s. And the very last thing that we're doing, which was actually the first project that was done, so it's completed already, is replacing the wall-to-wall carpeting in the basement with vinyl plank flooring. Because this basement has a bedroom and a full bathroom, we really want this space to feel inviting and like part of the house. And the previous owners had this wall-to-wall carpeting down here that, although it was in pretty good condition, it was definitely musty. It also had a lot of indents in it from the previous furniture that had probably been sitting on it for 20 years. So the first thing we did was ripped up this carpet. We actually had to reseal the concrete because I don't think it was level. And then we put down new vinyl plank flooring. I've heard that this is a really great option for basement floors because it's scuff resistant, it's waterproof. In future videos, when I talk about the furniture, I will tell you how we plan on styling this space. There are two corners tucked away in the back, so one of them is going to be Milo's play space, and in the other we plan to make a little at-home gym setup. So those are all the major renovations that we plan on making to our new house. Anyone that's renovated a house before knows that it is easy as you're working to kind of get a little ahead of yourself, get excited, start doing things that you didn't initially think you were going to do. New things continue to pop up, like as you're ripping out a floor, you see something that needs fixing that you didn't even know of before. But Michael and I did budget for these renovations, so we were prepared. I love being able to pick out all the finishes down to the hardware and all the little details. That brings me so much joy, and so literally constructing our dream house from this perfect blank canvas is the way to go for us. I hope you found this video entertaining to watch. I will definitely keep sharing how we plan on styling, how we're furnishing. All of that's coming up in the future, and I'm just so grateful you're here on my YouTube channel. The next time you see this face, I will no longer be a New York City resident, but don't worry, I still have family that lives here, so I'm sure we'll come back many times, and I'll be sure to take you with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.